Hi, I'm Brian Tucker with 1% Marketing, and welcome to today's guest hangout call. I've invited a special guest today, Stephanie Mehring, who is a certified Psych-K Facilitator. And in addition to being our featured guest today, I have also personally worked with Stephanie as a client, and I have, to say the least, benefited greatly from the Psych-K process that she offers in my personal life. Welcome, Stephanie. How are you?
I'm really wonderful. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing great. So, let's just get right into this. Why don't you tell folks a little bit about the Psych-K process and how it was developed and sort of the core concept behind it?
Okay. Well, it was developed by a gentleman named Dr. Rob Williams. He was a practicing psychotherapist for about 20 years and reached a point of, burnout, where he one day decided, I need to do something different. I'm not seeing the results I want with my clients. He has written a book, Finding the Missing Pieces in Your Life, and he talks about how he received information through a divine intervention, so to speak, where he developed this new process. Psych-K stands for psychology and kinesiology. And so as a facilitator, I am working with a client by communicating through kinesiology or muscle testing with the subconscious mind, as well as the superconscious mind, which is the wiser part of us that knows everything about us.
Okay, great. Why is Psych-K so effective, do you believe?
It works very quickly. It's a simple process that as I facilitate, I communicate with the subconscious as far as which whole brain balance to apply. And a whole brain balance is where we bring the right and the left hemisphere of the brain into balance. Because when something happens to us, an event in our childhood that causes some form of trauma, we automatically store it on one side of the brain. Yeah. And so in changing the belief, we have to recreate a whole brain balance. And there are several processes that I can go to depending on what is needed. And I am actually guided by the person's superconscious and subconscious mind as to where to go in my toolbox.
Okay, great. So when you say subconscious, let me kind of put this in layman's terms for the folks that are watching today. From my perspective, you have mentioned the word programs, and what I found to be this belief or limiting beliefs that you talked about, these are actually what I would call instructions that we may or may not know that have been programmed into us as, in our youth, by our parents or grandparents or, potentially teachers or through life experiences or traumatic experiences that we had when we were younger. And I actually found through your process several different limiting beliefs and programs that were programmed into me by my parents. Maybe you could help people understand that a little bit more and kind of dive into that and talk about, how that can affect somebody as an adult, what it can mean in a relationship, what it can mean in your life and your work environment and those types of things.
Well, as a child, something happens and you create a belief about what happens. You give it a meaning. And it is stored in your subconscious mind. And so that as you're going through life as an adult, an event comes to you and it's recognized by your subconscious mind that it has something to do with what happened in the past. Mm-hmm. And in order to change that, we need to create a new meaning. And we do that in the process of Psych-K. I virtually work with a client for the first time, getting an idea of what they're experiencing in their life. I get a little history, and then I ask, what would you rather experience? We come up with a belief statement of what you would rather experience. Mm-hmm. we do a whole brain balance, as well as other processes that are indicated as needed. And then we allow whatever time it takes for that balance to unfold. It can happen in minutes, it can happen in hours, weeks, but there is generally, and in my case of experience, I've seen it with everyone, lasting results.
Okay, so essentially what you're doing is, if I understand it correctly, and this is the way that I kind of explain it, is you're taking negative or limiting information that's been programmed into the human brain at a very early development age, which may or may not apply to their adult life. So for example, with me, I had some limiting beliefs that were programmed into me as a child by my parents, also by school teachers with respect to attention deficit disorder. And being a kid with ADHD, it was always programmed into my mind that I was hyperactive, or that I was scatterbrained, or that, maybe I was a kid that just didn't do well in school, or that I had behavior problems, or that I was, the class clown, or whatever that was. And so essentially, if I still understand this right, because the benefits of this are still really starting to kick in with me, more and more every day. What we did was we actually created a new set of instructions or beliefs that said that it's okay to be that way. It's okay. You don't have a behavior problem, that this is normally the way, and that you're able to accept this. And we basically reprogrammed my subconscious with these new instructions that essentially has helped me be able to process information subconsciously and then pass that on to the conscious in a way that is, much more suitable for the adult life. Did I explain that right?
That sounds really wonderful, and I love hearing that. And I have observed quite a wonderful change. Basically, what I've noticed with you, Brian, is how calm you are. Mm-hmm. Which is very different from our very first session. Where I literally needed to focus just to keep, in my chair watching you move all over the screen.
Yeah, I'm pretty high energy.
And now look how calm you look. And
well, I feel calm. Yeah. And so my understanding is that these core limiting beliefs that we're talking about, these can affect every area of your life, from, your marriage to your love life, to your work environment, to your family, to your parenting, to your children, to your friends, to your social life, to, what are some examples of some other areas of which you have helped people using this process?
I'm working with a woman who lost her daughter approximately 10 years ago and went through excruciating pain. And mm-hmm. we worked together on some of what was still inside of her. Uh-huh. And she recently lost a dog that she loved very much, and she's reliving that experience of losing someone that she loves and the grief process. Uh-huh. And so in meeting with her, I talked with her about what she would rather experience. And she told me she'd like to experience acceptance and peacefulness about what's happening, to let go. And so we created a belief statement about that. And then we did a whole brain balance. And that was 2 weeks ago. And today she's told me that she's feeling total peace and acceptance about what happened. And she's almost feeling a sense of guilt because she's feeling so okay about the whole thing. So that would be an example. Example. There are many examples. Working with people that are dealing with midlife crisis, in
Okay.
accepting what's going on with their spouse. And so acceptance is key. And so we come up with a belief statement just to get them calm and in acceptance of what's going on, and focusing more on what they'd rather experience in their life, what they are responsible for, what they can change, versus spending time focusing on what they don't want. They focus on what they do want.
Sure.
It can be about a career. A man that's really not happy with what he's doing, he's burnt out, he wants to do something different, but there's a limited belief that says, no, not possible. And so we work on what he'd rather believe. And we create the scenario. We go through a process where he actually goes into the future, and we access his senses, his visual, auditory, and kinesthetic senses, in allowing him to go into that future moment as if it is in the moment now. And that is, I guess you would say, almost a form of hypnosis that communicates with the subconscious in order to give it instructions. And then I guide the client into a whole brain posture that allows the whole brain integration to occur so that the subconscious believes the new statement.
So it sounds like the benefits from this, Stephanie, are, it allows you to advance yourself. It has a major, impact on how you feel, how you look. I mean, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about some of the concrete benefits that you see from your clients. I mean, it sounds like the change. I know the change for me was very fast. I mean, people started seeing something in me within, just a couple of weeks. I mean, what do you usually see as far as the benefits and the amount of time it takes to start seeing those benefits when somebody works with you?
Definitely, I see a change in perspective and much less fear, much less anxiety. Mm-hmm. I worked with a woman who was afraid to get behind the wheel of a car, and she's now driving confidently without fear. That happened after 2 sessions. And we may not immediately go into dealing with her driving. We may have to go about it in a non-direct way to find out what other things are going on in her life. And in balancing those, it lightens some of the other fear. And then we go into a process based on transforming her anxiety about driving.
Gotcha. So it sounds to me like not only is this something that can help you reverse the effects of these, subconscious beliefs that are programmed into you by your parents or your grandparents or other people around you when you're smaller. But from what I'm hearing is that, traumatic events within inside of your life, such as, a death of somebody in your family, or a divorce or separation when you're younger, or even when you're older, that this can help you cope with that and can help you reverse the feelings and the emotions that you have and get you back on track to a happier life. Is that correct?
That's correct. And it's as simple as making a decision that you would rather experience something other than what you're experiencing. That's all we need to get started.
Okay. And when it comes to sessions, how long does a session usually take? Well, tell me a little bit about the process.
Okay. The initial session is getting to know my client, ask a few questions, get to know where they are as far as emotionally, what's a priority, where they'd like to start. We come up with a belief system. Generally, the first session is about 90 minutes. And then ongoing sessions are generally an hour to 90 minutes based on what the client wants to work on. Okay. And they may or may not experience something in the process. Some people experience quite a bit physically, emotionally. They may hear a dialogue, because we all have this little voice inside our head that likes to tell us, no, we can't have what we want. And in doing the whole brain balance, we are actually challenging that voice and disrupting that voice. And what I've experienced is that little voice may come in and then it is silenced. And that is when you know the balance has taken effect. So that's really exciting.
So if somebody wants to contact you for a Psych-K session, what is the process? How do they get a hold of you? What do they need to do?
Okay, my website is rejuv-u.com, rejuv-u.com. And please take a look. I have videos, fact sheet, explanations of what I offer. Mm-hmm. You know, there's various reasons to do a balance. It can have to do with your relationship, your career, anything that's causing you stress, anything you'd like to change.
Okay.
And then send me an email, and I will respond as quickly as possible, and look forward to having an initial session. Okay,
great. Well, listen, we'll put the link to your website down in the bottom of the video. So if somebody wants to click on it, they can go right through to your site. And again, you know, I can highly recommend and endorse Stephanie. She is an amazing person, a lot of fun. You know, we've shared a lot of stories as we've kind of went through the process, and she's helped me with some of the things, you know, with respect to my career and some of the limiting beliefs that I had, you know, that were programmed in me, and those have clearly been, you know, removed, and I've seen some great results. So I would definitely recommend Stephanie. You know, if you want to get a hold of her, you can just click on the link below and go through to her website and, you know, get the process started and get on to a better and happier life. Thanks for joining us today on the guest Google Hangout call, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.